Yo, Jake. Do you know what time it is? What episode are we on today?
4.
We have a special guest. This young man here. He's not always gonna be on, but he stepped in and stepped up big for us today. Would you like to introduce yourself? I'll let you do your introduction yourself.
For sure. Andy Jachim, a new member of the sports department here. I'm a junior at North Central, transferred from Carthage, and love to talk sports.
You're also on a sports show.
I am on a sports show.
Yeah, you gotta shout yourself out. Don't do that.
Yeah, Strictly Sports, airing every Wednesday night, 6 to 8 on FM 89 with me and Evan Bruner. So it's a good time.
Evan will most likely be on the podcast at one point. Today just kind of worked out the way our guest kind of was scheduled and everything. We just needed a little bit of a throw in, and you're probably going to be the main guy anyways to be that type of person to be thrown in and stuff like that. So it'll be fun. First off, how was your weekend, boys? I know Myron had a great weekend. I know Myron had a great weekend.
Oh, it was outstanding.
How was you, Andy?
That was good.
It was good?
Got to call a football game, and yeah, I mean, he knows. It went well, so no complaints.
Let's get into football. Let's get into the North Central Corner. We start every show off with the North Central Corner. We go over every single sport going on right now for North Central. Starting off, we want to start with the Wheaton game?
We got to.
It's the big highlight of this past homecoming weekend here at North Central College. Wheaton came into town. Ironically, still on homecoming. I mean, great atmosphere, by the way. Great atmosphere.
A doubt.
Everything.
Do you know how many people
was
was there? Do you want to know how many people were there?
Do you know the exact number?
Yes.
How many?
6,000 exactly.
Yeah, that was gonna be my guess. It was packed.
It was just packed to the brim.
Just seeing the view from up on the booth, there were people that ended up sitting in front of the booth because there was just no other seats available. We had people like taking selfies with us. You just come from the side of the booth because there was just that packed, man. There was just so many people there. It was
crazy. Yeah, it was an outstanding atmosphere. Like looking up into the stands from the field, seeing nothing but all black was dope. Especially that play at halftime. But we can get into that a little later.
We'll get into that a little bit later. But just overall with this game, I mean, I was at the game. I kind of watched it from a little bit of a side angle. I was over by the baseball field. I didn't really want to pay a ticket to get in there and then have to leave at halftime anyways because I did the halftime show here for FM 89. So first off, I love the black unis at night. But I want to ask you this question, Andy, because last year for me it was a little difficult looking at numbers.
I knew that question was coming. Yeah, it was difficult. I looked over at Sam and I looked. We're gonna be in for a long evening with these numbers, especially because the way the sun was setting too. We had our lineup cards and we were just shading the sun probably for about majority of the first quarter.
You had no sunglasses?
I had shades on. That doesn't do the trick though entirely when the sun's beating in on your face, man. No, it was sick uniforms, the coolest uniforms we got, no doubt. But man, it makes for hard to see the numbers.
Yeah, I mean the uniforms are sick. I mean the numbers could be all red and that'd be even better. But that's not a conversation.
You bring that up with the department that is above my pay grade. So I'm just here to play football, boy. So I got no control on what the uniforms look like.
Very true.
As long as I look good and feel good, hey.
I was sitting down there hyping up the crowd toward the end of the game. You
got to.
Yeah, I was like,
gotta get it all. Gotta get it.
Is that your favorite uniform, Myron?
The black, like black on black, like the combination, or just in general?
Yeah.
I would say I actually like the red uniforms, like the traditional red jerseys on the white pants. I think that combination is sick, and it's like above all the others, in my opinion.
Okay, all right. I personally like the black on black a little bit better.
I just don't like my black helmet because I have a bucket. A Shoutout?
You got a big head, dude.
I do have a big head, and that was the issue the coaching staff had trying to find me a black helmet that actually fit. So we went through the ringer. I got told by the trainers like 5 different times, no, you cannot wear that helmet. Your face is too close. And then they finally found me one. So, hey, all that matters is they found me a helmet. So
very true for that. But let's get into this game. North Central came away with the victory. It started off great. It was 20-0 at halftime. And then Wheaton sort of came back. It was 33-20. Me and Myron were talking a little bit yesterday about the game a little bit. So I'll let him kind of talk about at least the on-the-field stuff with sort of how that game progressed with that second half.
It was big. You know, we had all the momentum going into halftime, especially with that last second field goal with 0.5 seconds getting the ball off. I didn't think we got it off in time, but watching the replay and on film, we got it off in time. So a lot of that momentum, you knew it was going to swing back. They're a heavyweight. We're a heavyweight. So it's going to be swings back and forth. And we knew that we were going to get Whedon's best performance coming out of halftime because I'm pretty sure they went into the locker room and was cursed out by their coaching staff about being shut out in the first half. So you can tell that happened when they came out and, like, not say dominated us in the third quarter, but they came out and gave us their best run for our money in the third quarter. Even though they only put up 6 points, our defense still did a great job. I mean, scoring 14 points in the fourth quarter kind of gave everybody a little scare. But honestly, on the sideline, we never stopped believing that we were going to win this game no matter what.
I mean, you got to have that sort of belief. Luke Lannon, 13 for 21, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 picks, though. And the game didn't really start off great offensively with, an interception, I believe the first drive, or 4th and out, and then it was an interception. Either way, those were the 2 first drives. And then they kind of drove down the field a little bit. Ethan Greenfield carried another game, pretty much, 24 yards.
The biggest run of the game was toward the end there. That's what Sam and I kept saying to ourselves is, like, we didn't think that it would be that play, but that was the biggest play of the season.
You think so?
I'd say it's the run by D'Angelo, the pitch back.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get that first down, that takes the momentum away, I think. But I also, like you said, Ethan's touchdown is a big play. I do agree with you, but I think D'Angelo's play, that run, 16, 18 yards, that definitely took the momentum away from him because they were harping on our offense, stopping them every time, and then we got that first down with a burst of momentum, and they just couldn't stop it.
Yeah, Ethan Greenfield, 109 yards on the ground, 2 tutties. D'Angelo Hardy in receiving, 8 receptions, 157 yards, and 1 touchdown. I mean, the long of 38, that bomb there, at least in the third drive of that first quarter, seemed like all the momentum swing and everything that you kind of needed for at least an offensive standpoint to kind of get going. It was all pretty much North Central for a while. But let's go into that. You think you got – so the film shows that you got the snap off?
Yes, it shows that we got the snap off in time with no one on the field. So Sam Pryor – I don't know if you all seen it in the box, but he literally swan dived to get it to the sideline in time for us to snap the ball, which was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. There were so many things going on. Like for me, I had so many different factors for me to focus on. Is when I came back to the booth before the second half because I went down to get some food, and 3 people approached me. It's because we had the closest view. We were on that side of the box. We had the closest view to that end zone, and 3 different people came up to me. Did they get it off in time? Did they get it off? I'm like, dude, I have no idea. No, I'm serious. I was like, I'm gonna say yes because we got it off and got the points, but there were so many different things to be looking at. I didn't even see Sam do the swan dive to get out of bounds. I didn't see that. No, you could have not told me that happened. I would have had no idea. So I mean, there's just a whole bunch of factors going on. Man, it was nuts.
We were in the studio here at the radio station, and we were just like, I don't know if you got it off in time, because we were watching it, and the moment it happened, the snap sort of happened. We were like, they didn't get that off in time. And then the kick happened, and we watched a couple replays, and we're like, okay, so I guess it kind of got off in time. But I mean, from the defensive point of view, this game was, at first was dominated by North Central's defense, and then in that sort of second half, they gave you guys a little bit run for your money. At one point, it was, I think the game was close to 20-27 in that fourth quarter with 5 minutes left. I know, Myron, you're going to say that we didn't have any sort of faults or anything, or any thoughts of this could potentially happen, but for North Central, this was, I feel like at a point it was a little bit scary, at least from that point of view.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could see it being scary, but I feel like at the end of the day, you have to know your team and your teammates, and we're led by great leaders. With Ethan Greenfield, Dan Gilroy, Terrence Hill, and also those guys that aren't seniors or fifth years, their motivation every day to still come out and prep and be the best, you can't beat that. And they show up when it's crunch time, and that's how you lead. That's how you lead as a captain at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would say the captains really stepped up when the time was needed. A little bit. Andy, in that booth, when it was 27, 20-27. A little bit thoughts going through the head a little bit. I mean, as a broadcaster, you got to think of every single angle, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. For me, it was probably. I mean, obviously this season you guys have blown everyone out of the water, so there wasn't a one score game that late in just any game this season. I was definitely feeling like, ooh, you know what if, yeah, it was running through my mind, but at the same time with the offense back on the field, like. There's just that many playmakers on that side of the ball to where I figured I was like they're gonna get something done. Even if they drive down the field and just get Tanner Raines to kick a chip shot field goal, which I mean didn't happen much, so I knew they were gonna find a way to punch it in. But with just that many guys who can do you mentioned Ethan Green, D'Angelo Hardy, like guys like that, I'm like they're gonna find a way. Like they just always prove that they have. So I wasn't too worried ever.
Yeah, I mean there was a little worry, at least from me, watching it from home and watching it on the stream sort of thing. I was like, oh, it's a little close. Okay. Offense, let's pick it up a little bit here. Let's do something. But next week, Myron, you got Carroll.
Yeah, it's a good opponent.
All right, so pretty much y'all going to be 5-0. Moving on. No.
For the most part, it is what it is.
Carroll's not the, like Wheaton, not the greatest formidable opponent.
They're a good program. They're on the rise.
3-1.
Hey, they are 3-1.
If push come to shove, the team that's fighting for third in our conference right now is Carroll. They're fighting with WashU to be the third best team in our conference. So we can't never overlook an opponent.
They won 44-41 against Augustana, double overtime game in their homecoming last week. So it's something.
It's something.
I don't know. I mean, I'm already starting to prep for Carroll next week, and I'm like, okay, they're 3-1. I know obviously they've played like North Park and Wisconsin Lutheran, who are struggling programs, but I mean they've won a few games so far this year. That's more than a lot of the other opponents that you guys have played other than Wheaton can say. So it's something, but yeah, we were kind of saying in the booth, it's like after Wheaton, it's just kind of, take care of what's in front of you guys and the rest will play itself out with the playoffs and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the other opponents too. It's like, at least in the top 5, they face top 10 opponents. In their conference. You have Whitewater that faces La Crosse. You have Mary Hardin Baylor that goes and faces top 10 opponents throughout their season. So they have those sort of top 25 victories, their, big game sort of victories that they have later in the season. For us, it's like we don't have a rank opponent for the rest of the season. Now it's just, let's just continue to win, and that's the best way we're going to stay on top. Because you guys still are number 1, Myron.
It's nobody's fault. It's a CCIW. You have to play all your conference opponents.
Yeah, we have 10 total teams, so you have to play 9 teams.
And you got to play who's in front of you. That's the thing with just in general with conference play. And some people don't quite understand that, who aren't as into college athletics. And just in a general scope, it's like these are required games. It's not like if you guys wanted to, you guys could go and see other opponents in the area that are a little bit stronger that would help out your schedule more. But it's like, no.
Who? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I'm in the area. What teams in the area?
I should say good. I would say international. How about this? In a national scope.
I mean, we've played Benedictine. We played Aurora. There's no one near us
that's
good enough.
Even that, though. So it's like you have to play these games. It's like that old saying goes, you play who's in front of you. You play who's on the schedule. There's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah.
All right, so you guys are facing Carroll this upcoming weekend. Andy, you're traveling with Sam to go up there and call that game. Good luck. Good drive. Hope you get there safe. Myron, you guys, I believe, are leaving.
I don't know when we're leaving.
Either Friday or Saturday morning. Either way.
Hey, as long as we get there.
As long as you get there. That's all that matters. But let's move around to other sports going around here at North Central. Women's volleyball.
Hey, they're 3-1 in conference play.
Yep.
8-4 overall. And that... Who do they play? Who's their next upcoming opponent? They play Illinois Wesleyan Wednesday. If you didn't know, Illinois Wesleyan is ranked number 21 in the country. This could be a big win for them, for their conference play, along with to get them possibly ranked. Even though I know Illinois Wesleyan's only ranked 21, if they win this game, they knock them out of the top 25 for sure.
Last time we kind of sort of dive into women's volleyball, they were going into that Whitewater tournament. They lost 3 straight there. We kind of talked about how it was like it's going to be a bounce back, but it's CCIW play, so you kind of need to start hot, and they've started hot when it's needed. Their only loss so far in CCIW play was to Elmhurst in a very close battle. They lost 2 sets to 3 sets, and then they came back at least. And in alumni honors night, they at least came away with the victory there. But their last ranked opponent was, at least at this schedule, is Whitewater,
yeah,
the 15th, and they lost one set to 3. Is there still that sort of level, you think,
Like
of ranked opponent versus non-ranked opponent? Because, I understand that Whitewater at the time, I believe, was even ranked higher than 15th at that time. And, they are one of the most dominant programs in women's volleyball here, at least at the Division III level, at least for Illinois Wesleyan. They're kind of starting to get back towards that sort of grind and getting up there in the top 20. But, it's going to be a very tough opponent. And it's at Illinois Wesleyan, too.
True. I mean, for me, I think anybody can get beat any given day. Like, it just depends on the day. Like, you can go in there versus the number 1 team in the country and upset the number 1 team in the country because they played terrible and you played the best game of your all's life. So I think that they should they're going to continue to do what they're doing. I don't think there's a big difference in like ranking. Maybe over time, yes, but like any given day, anybody can lose and anybody can win.
I don't know if this makes sense. I feel like volleyball is like one of those sports where it's not as defined. It's like, oh, if someone shows up, like it's really, and it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like regular season Major League Baseball in a way, where it's like, it's like, oh, anyone can beat anyone on any given day. So I feel like volleyball is one of those sports. Once again, I'm not a super informed volleyball individual in my life, but I definitely feel like out of all the sports out there, it's one of those where it's like, yeah, you know what, if you show up and play your game, I guess really anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can really happen. And, so we wish them luck. They're playing tonight at 7 o'clock. So hopefully they get a W there. And then they go into this Tiffany Robinson Memorial Tournament where they're not really facing, ranked opponents. So it could easily be they're all at home, too, for this tournament. So it'd be a nice, easy kind of home stretch for them. Try to get a couple more victories, at least go up there in the regular season and maybe see them ranked. Myron, next time we talk about them, are they ranked?
Next time? I would hope so, but we don't control rankings, so I can't 100% tell you that's going to be.
I'm going to say yes. I believe they're going to be 24.
I hope so. I hope they get in there. But this next team we talk about is undefeated. They don't get as much love as other teams on campus do. The women's tennis team is 11-0. That is crazy.
It's very impressive.
We don't ever hear anyone talk about them or give them praise. 11-0 in tennis, they're doing a dominating performance here. Their next upcoming game is this Friday, October 7th versus Augustana, and they have to go to Augustana. I think they're going to dominate the CCIW play still.
I mean, if you run through the CCIW just scores, 9-0 Elmhurst, or 9-0 Elmhurst, 7-2 Milliken, 8-1 Carthage, 9-0 Wesleyan, 9-0 North Park. Like it's not like oh they're just winning, they're dominating. Like these aren't even remotely close.
Yeah, they are dominating, and I mean they're on pace right now to win the CCIW. And without a doubt, go into that CCIW tournament and sort of dominate all the way in. At least in April for the spring season, but the rest of the season they have 2 matches left here in the fall with Augustana and Wheaton. I mean, we're going to see 13-0 going into that March sort of play.
Without a doubt.
Finish strong, ladies. This is a really impressive season.
Yeah, we need to give more love to some of these sports that are not just football here at North Central because they dominate every single day. And I forgot to mention that Aiden Brown also won CCIW Hitter of the Week.
I forgot to mention that. I'm glad you caught that.
I caught that. Don't worry about that. Aiden Brown, she dominated for women's volleyball.
What did she have, like 26 points, like 13 kills or something like that?
Right now, yeah, so she had 26 points, 22 kills, 18 digs on a Wednesday. And followed up by a 19 kills performance on Friday. And then as well as this season, she leads the CCIW in 41 kills. Kills per set with 4.5. Points per set with 5.3. And so she's been an elite volleyball player for North Central. So we got to also give some shout out, some love to that as well. And then another women's sport we're talking about today, women's cross country. Now, this cross-country program, at least in the years past, at least for track and field cross-country, there was a reason why North Central has 40-something national championships, and only one of them is in football. Because everything else is in cross-country and track and field. That's all.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. our cross country and track and field program, men's and women's, is one of the best, if not the best, programs historically, dating back all the way to the origin of, D3 athletics. It seems like.
Yeah, that's the one thing I know. I always remember in high school, because I'm an area kid, so this was kind of always a school that people looked at. Is I had a buddy who he runs cross country and track over at Loris, and his final two were North Central and Loris. And I was like, North Central? He's like, yeah, dude, it's like that's what they're known for. And I was like, I thought they were a football school. He's like, no, like no, dude, it's like he like ran through the list. He's like, there's this historic running coach, this historic running coach. I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm like, that's just something new I learned. So then when I came over here, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of forget like it's not just football and baseball and other stuff. It's like we run very well here.
Yes. I remember when my freshman year I came here, the cross-country programs, the track and field programs would go down to they would face guys from Clemson and D1 athletes, and they would come away victorious, and it's it's a small Division
It's
III
crazy because a lot of people don't realize that D3 athletes, NII athletes, and D2 athletes can compete with D1 athletes any day of the week. Just because you got recruited to go play D1 don't mean a D3 kid can't beat you.
Yeah, the only difference is that they're getting paid for their athletic stuff in D3.
We're paying to be here. You're right.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're right.
No, trust me, I get it. It's just one of those things. But I'm sure we all have stories. We've played with guys at the D3 level who have had success beyond that, and it's a common thing. Like, people don't understand. I think there's some MLB stat where it's I think there was a guy from D3 who went the 5th round or something last year for baseball, and it's and people are like, wow, really, D3? It's like, yeah. There are dudes who can play all the sports at this level. You'd be surprised, most often.
Looking at some of their past sort of invitationals, they finished 6 out of 18 in a invitational hosted by Wheaton, and then the Aurora University Invitational, they finished 8th this past weekend. And then this Friday, they get the Bradley Pink Classic in Peoria, and then it's on to CCIW Championship. All hosted by Elmhurst down there. So they're in sort of their thick of their field. I feel like this thick of their season. I know it's a short sort of season, at least getting into that CCIW play, but this cross country program, don't count them out. Even though they finished 6th and 8th, they can easily finish top 3, and if not, kind of go for it for that CCIW championship.
I agree with you. I mean, just today, it happens to be that it wasn't their best of day, but I mean, they're still processing time. They still have about 3 more weeks until that big CCIW day, so they're going to be fine.
Last year they finished 3rd in CCIW play, so and they finished 3rd in the 2 races beforehand. They finished 10th and 6th. So even though they didn't finish the greatest that they needed to in CCIW play, they still came out top 3. So one other program that is dominating. And then talk about the women. So we'll go into the men's cross country. They finished 2nd out of 6th. So close.
Yep, they're currently 2nd after week 3 polls came out.
So 2nd in the national.
Yep, and the nationals. They're first. They moved up from 5th. No, they moved up to number 5 according to the U.S. Track and Field Cross Country Coaches Association, and in the coaches poll in the Midwest region, they're number 2. So this men's team, has a lot going good for them as well.
Yeah, they finished 4th in the same invitational that the women's were at in Wheaton, and then finished 2nd in the Augustana one this past weekend, and then coming home for homecoming. So that was a good road for them. But they also have another August College Invitational, and then the CCIW Championship coming up in the next couple of weeks for this men's cross country program. I'm telling you, they are one of the best. They finished 1st in that CCIW championship just a year ago, and then as well as they finished 3rd in the August College Invitational. So high hopes here for the next couple of weeks for this men's cross country program, and we're looking to add in another natty to our 40-something of track and field and cross country. But Myron, what's our last sport? Because we give so much love to this sport.
This last sport, we're going to switch over back. We're going to keep it on the men's side of things, and we're going to end with men's soccer, with them being 8-0-3, only tying 3 games, but having 0 losses is big. Their last game they played versus Benedictine We won 3-0, heading into another CCIW play today at 7 p.m. So there's going to be a great game versus Wheaton, and we have to play at Wheaton. So it's going to be interesting to see how these boys can continue the domination against Wheaton College.
Yeah, this team is, I mean, one of the best teams in the nation. You talk about the goaltending alone with Sid Marquardt.
Sid's incredible.
I mean, broken the record for, shutouts and goals against and everything, right? He's been dominating ever since he came into North Central's sort of net. And going into the CCIW play, you have Wheaton and Carthage, but then you have a big one. North Park number 5.
Yeah, North Park's top 5 team. I've actually had the pleasure, so I'm a little bit more knowledgeable on our men's soccer team. I wrote about them in the Chronicle. So I interviewed Sid and I interviewed Johnny Kramer, and these guys, they're talking about this whole new energy that the coaching staff's kind of leading them on, and they still haven't lost a game yet this season, which is incredible. And I know that people highlight Sid a lot. He's outstanding, like you mentioned, broke the shutout record. But this offense too, man. I mean, when they're winning these games, when they played Wartburg, they won 3-0, 3-1 victory, 3-0 victory. Like, it's more than just these 1-0, 2-0 games. Like, they're putting up multiple goals every game, and it's just the formation they have is working for them right now, and it's fun to watch. Like, these guys are playing their best ball.
Yeah, they've seemed like they dominate the ball a lot too during those games. Like if you watch any of them, you can see that it seems like North Central has the ball a lot. And those defensive backs for North Central, they, as much as Sid gives a lot of credit for those shutouts, there's not a lot of opportunities.
True.
For the other team.
Keep the ball away from the other team, and that's how you win. You win games in any sport. You keeping the ball away from other opponents, you're gonna be able to win games. So, but also you have to give Sid continue to give him his props for holding,
give him his flowers
for holding down the goal, because not many people can do that. So
not for this long of a dominance for the past 2 years. Last year when they went in to face North Park, they lost 1-2 in overtime. So I know that game kind of maybe sits a little bit higher for Sid and for that men's soccer club, trying to get a little bit of a revenge there, especially now that North Park is number 5.
That's a good win for the resume, right? We talk resumes all the time for all different types of sports.
Right.
So beating a top 5 team in the country, that's just always, it's a great look.
Are we ranked?
I don't think they are. Which
it's crazy because North Park has a loss on their record and they're number 5.
Yeah, which is a shame. I don't think we are. We might be. I'm not super.
I'm looking at North Park. I'm looking at North Park right now. They don't have.
They lost to the number 1 team.
They lost
in the
to
country,
Chicago, but they don't even have us a ranking, and that's surprising.
Which is disrespectful, if I'm being honest. Not having a single loss through 11 games. That's a good chunk of their season.
Right.
And like I said, these guys are playing really, really well.
Yeah, so we've received votes.
That's good.
So
That's
as
a step
of
in the right direction, right?
So of games of through September 25th, it goes University of Chicago is still number 1. North Park is still number 5. John Hopkins is in there. Looking for maybe other CCIW schools. Doesn't look like there's any around the area for North Central. But then it says also receiving votes that North Central is still receiving votes. But I mean,
gotta get them ranked.
Gotta get them ranked. There's a 2-loss. Babson College has 2 losses and a tie. You look at some other schools that have 1 losses. University of Rochester has a loss. You have, and these are like teams that are in the top 20.
I really hope people aren't holding the 3 ties against them.
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't, and I'm afraid that's the problem, which is a real shame.
They probably are, and like you said, that's a real shame. There's no way you hold 3 ties against a team that has been able to dominate all year long. You have teams that have losses in here. I just think there should be some reconsideration on who's doing what voting.
Tie's always better than a loss.
To be honest,
they haven't lost yet, so I don't see the connection there.
That is true. That'll do it for North Central, the North Central corner here on Between the Lines. Moving over to a little bit of professional stuff. Starting off with the NFL, we kind of cover the NFL a lot, so we'll kind of get into a little bit of our picks last week. Myron,
how did I do? Let me know.
Let's take a look here. I know I had a great day. I went 10-5 as of right now.
Okay.
I went 10-5 right now. Myron, you're 8-7.
Nah, it was all right, I guess.
Above 500.
Yeah,
Gerard beat you. He had 9. Because
I switched my pick on one team, didn't I?
I believe you did. I believe it was Baltimore.
You too.
It was Baltimore, and I picked I picked Buffalo, and then me and Gerard also picked the Vegas, and you picked Denver. So
I picked Denver too.
Yeah,
You weren't
Denver.
alone.
those two
I picked
games.
Denver,
But
Come on, Russell.
you did,
Get it together.
but you did pick Tennessee, and I picked Indianapolis. So, Tennessee ended up winning that game. So you kind of got there, but. Myron, we were tied going into this week. 15 and 17 were our record, so we were below 500. But
So you're above
bounce
me
back
now.
games. Now I'm going to be above you.
Hey, don't worry. I'm coming back.
So wait
long
for
season.
another.
Yeah,
It
long
is
season.
It's a
very
long season. You're good.
But all of us here are Bears fans.
Yes, we are.
And
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately is a good way to put it.
very unfortunate. The Bears this past week, they lost 20-12, and it just seemed like, first off, props. We talked about it last week. Justin Fields threw the ball 22 times. Better than 17. Better than 10.
Still not enough.
Still not
enough. Still not even
Do you
close.
think it's time to fire this coaching staff? I'm just joking.
I mean,
I'm just joking.
Eberflus, I think if a guy gets the can, it's Getsy toward the end of the season.
It's the offensive coordinator,
It's
without
not
a
Getsy.
doubt.
It's not Eberflus. I feel like with head coaches nowadays, you got to at least give him 2 seasons to kind of figure it out. So, and this is like none of his guys, new regime. So Eberflus is fine. Honestly, I've not been disappointed with the defense at all.
No, the defense has been
Defense has
playing
been fine.
good.
I said this when I was on the air today doing my jock shift. I said, you allow 20 points in an NFL game. That gives your offense a pretty good room to operate to win a football game.
Oh, yeah.
I,
It's the
I would
NFL.
take I would take 20 points out of my defense any day.
I mean, would you, though, take the 31 carries, 146 yards by Saquon?
Yeah, no, they ran it down our throats. That was the one thing that really bummed me out, is because normally everyone's been going out on the Bears for their pass defense this year. Normally, the run defense it hasn't been amazing, but we've been able to contain, right? And that just they allowed Daniel Jones to rush for 2 touchdowns. And both were on bootlegs, and nobody was within like 10 yards of them. I'm just like,
No.
can't do anything, man. I was like, you kidding?
Sticking on that defensive topic, Myron, I said it about 2 weeks ago. There was one player on that defense that I said was the worst player, and it was a really bad draft choice. It was Kyle Gordon. You said
Today.
give him some time.
I did. I think, okay, I'm not going to retract what we said off air. I still think give him some time, but what he has shown since the preseason is he is not a good football player.
No, it's not been good so far. I will say the pick of Jaquan Brisker.
Oh, without a
was
doubt, I
the
like
best
that
second-round pick we had, but no, it's tough. And I talk about this with Evan on Strictly Sports. It's cornerback is one of the hardest positions to transfer into in the NFL. When you're making that transition, corner is one of the hardest because you're going up against, at least in Kyler Gordon's situation, I know the Giants don't have good receivers, but in general, like last week, I think he had Brandon Cooks with Houston because Jalen Johnson's been out. And even when Jalen Johnson's in, he's been so good, it's like you're going to target the rookie.
Oh, you're
going to target the unproven guy. Why would you throw at the guy who's almost an all-pro? In my opinion, Jalen Johnson should be knocking on the door of being an all-pro pretty soon. Might be a little biased, but he's playing. He plays very well. He doesn't get a lot of targets, and for obvious reasons, he's a shutdown guy. So by default, Kyler Gordon's going to get all the targets, and he just hasn't been making the most of his opportunities.
You also got to think for Kyler Gordon that he's facing guys that are significantly faster.
Oh, yeah.
Significantly quicker, more smoother with their routes. You talk about, in college, a lot more fast pace, a lot more go routes, a lot more.
He played in Washington. I'm not going to say Washington doesn't play any competition, but I also think he needs to develop a little bit more. But like you said, he's playing receivers that are faster, stronger, has been doing this for a very long time. Like you got to continue to, like Andy said, you got to continue to take the unproven guy, no matter what. And this goes back to when you the defense got ran all over.
Yeah.
The Giants ran the ball 44 times and embarrassed them in the box. I think the D-line is a little bit worse at this pace. I mean, they didn't really – actually, they did give up a lot of rushing yards here. Now that I'm looking at it. But I think that they really didn't test him in this game to a certain extent. They only threw the ball 16 times. So he really didn't get tested, but he also has to realize that when teams get a scouting report, they're going to attack him.
Yeah, and it's you talk about the rushing defense, you can definitely see that the absence of Akeem Hicks is definitely being felt right now. Even though I love Akeem to death, and I'm sure every Bears fan does, he had a tough time staying on the field. He's currently injured right now, which stinks. Hope he feels better soon. But that absence is definitely felt. They tried bringing in a few guys, Justin Jones. They're giving Angelo Blackson a higher elevated role in that rushing attack, and it's just there's not.
Who was it? Larry
Ogunjobi?
Yeah, my bad. He just didn't pass a physical.
Yeah, he would have been great. He would have been great.
Is he even playing? I know he signed a contract somewhere, but I don't even think he's.
I'd have to look it up. I have no idea.
And that's crazy.
No, this rush defense is something that is lacking, that middle presence for that Chicago Bears unit. But even like talking about that defensive line, Robert Quinn's nowhere to be found.
Yep.
You have
teamed.
For obvious reasons. Who works with them on the other side? I like Travis Gibson, but I feel like
he's not there yet.
They're giving Al-Qadim Muhammad more reps on the other edge than Travis Gibson.
I don't think Al-Qadim Muhammad should be getting those.
No, it should be Travis Gibson. The dude, I like Travis.
It should be Gibson. It should be Gibson.
Yeah, and it's just not. So I don't know. The scheme is just kind of off right now altogether.
I mean, Roquan Smith has been at least there. Eddie Jackson seems like he's back in that 2018 sort of form a little bit. And then you guys talked about it a little bit with Juwan Brisker. I mean,
that guy's been.
You want to talk about a hit on a draft pick team, that we just didn't even have a first round, Right. And so your first round pick is now a second round, and your first pick is going to be this guy that is overlooked by 32 teams beforehand.
I was disappointed when we took Jaquan, and not because he's not a good player. I was hoping receiver in that second round, I think like every other Bears fan. And when we took Kyler, which corner was a position to need, I was excited because I don't know about you guys, I don't like Kendall Vildor. I don't think he's a good player.
Oh, no.
He's my least favorite player on this team. So I was like, okay, cool. We got a need. Now let's go get a George Pickens type receiver for Justin Fields. And when we take Brisker, I had a video of myself. I was mad, but then I sit down. No, he's I was recording my reaction just because I was like, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be funny. It makes for a good comedy with my friends. But he's a Big Ten guy. He went to Penn State, and I watch a lot of Big Ten football. And I was like, all right, this guy's an impact safety. Tashawn Gibson's been the safety in Chicago with Eddie Jackson the last couple of years, and that guy was not.
He wasn't good either.
So yeah, Brisker definitely they play off each other very well, and he hasn't had a guy like this, Eddie, since Adrian Amos.
The only bad thing I say about Jaquan is he has to wrap up.
Yeah,
he can't continue to do hit sticks because it's not gonna work every time.
He's leaning towards that Eddie Jackson sort of hitting, tackling style.
Yeah, he missed a few tackles in the backfield yesterday where I was like,
if you wrap up, you run your feet, you clinch, eyes the ball level, you make the play.
Another rookie kind of that finally made his return. Velas Jones.
I was just about to ask about this young man.
He's a return guy, I guess.
So why did they draft him?
I don't know.
So
I was very confused by this.
Yeah, the thing with Velas is he's most known for punt returning and kick returning. And when you cough up a punt late in the fourth quarter, not saying who knows if Justin Fields would have led the offense down on a drive to score a touchdown. I mean, we hadn't found the end zone all afternoon to that point, right. But you got to give him a chance, right? It's one of those things. And for a guy who was primarily known at Tennessee as a return specialist, that's a really bad look.
It was a really bad look, but I would love to see him more in that offense, in the sort of just giving him a shot, because
why not?
St.
The opportunities
Brown,
are there, right?
Yeah, St. Brown just doesn't seem like he's going to be better. I mean, you're looking at a team that's not going to do anything this year, so let the young guys kind of show and shine and learn and sort of develop in that sort of offense if you're going to stick with this offense. But you're still going to have to let them develop and learn and how to play football.
I don't know what to do to change this offense at all. Like, they literally, this receiving core is embarrassing.
The only highlight is Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney had a pretty good game. That was a nice the 56-yard toss. That was good ball, even better catch.
4 for 95, which is an average of 23 and a half yards, which is not bad.
Not bad. No, he played fine.
Cole Kmet is just non-existent, too.
Cole Kmet has been beyond disappointing. I said it coming into the season. This was Cole Kmet's make or break season, and he is not right.
When he got drafted, I didn't even like him being drafted. I didn't think they needed a tight end. I felt like that pick was not a smart Ryan Pace decision, and he has had a lot of bad decisions that we're realizing now.
And that's why he's not here anymore.
Respectfully.
But yeah, I mean, this offense has to change some sort of ways. You talk about, we talked about it last week, Myron, with Gerard, how if you're running this ball this efficiently, you should be able to pass the ball even more efficiently. because everyone's got to stack the box and everything. This week, I know David Montgomery wasn't there, but Khalil Herbert stepped up. He had 19 carries for only 77 yards. There seemed like there was just no holes opened up on that offensive line for him to even break anything open or kind of find anything going for that. I mean, Justin Fields was scrambling more, which I love to see because that's like his number one strength as a quarterback right now. Throwing the ball a little bit. He said, I wanted to throw the ball a little bit more. He's at 22 attempts, but also he had 6 sacks.
It's on the O-line.
It's O-line. We've been dealing with the same thing for like the last 50 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like every time you talk about the Bears every week, you're beating a dead horse with the O-line. You know, we talked before the show. You like the tackle play.
I like the tackle play.
It's fine.
It's better than the interior guys.
Yeah, the interior guys.
I like Larry Borum and Braxton Jones playing tackle. I think Braxton Jones was a great pick.
For a 5th rounder, yes.
And he's starting.
Yeah.
And many 5th rounders never start.
And
they either get cut.
And people were wondering if was it because he actually rose to the occasion, was impressive in camp, or was it because the Bears had no other options? Could have been a mix of both. I think he's actually good for it.
He's better than Zach.
Oh, most definitely. And I don't know. It's Sam Mustipher is the guy we talk about.
That's the guy. Yeah, that's the biggest issue here.
That's the anchor. He gets blown up every play, and it's like, why is he out there? It's just
because you have nobody else.
Yeah, it's just
you're stuck with what you're stuck with.
I think. I mean, you look at. I think this offensive line, if you really kind of look back towards it, like at least in history, of how bad this offense is. You talk about the Houston Texans offensive line with Deshaun Watson at the beginning of his career. You talk about another Houston Texans quarterback, David Carr, when he got in the league, all he was getting hit. I mean, understand that Deshaun Watson is going through a whole situation and everything. We're not going to talk about it, but David Carr was out of the league after a couple of years because of how many hits he took, and no one wanted to take a chance on him. This, in a couple of years here, if they don't up this offensive line, I mean, Justin Fields is.
Do you know the story that every time the Bears draft the Ohio State quarterback, or I think it's either the Bears or it's in the NFL, every time an Ohio State quarterback gets drafted, they never work out.
I think it's the NFL in general. Yeah, you see.
And I hope he doesn't fall.
I'm trying to think of the
for
last
this.
one that kind of worked out from Ohio State.
It hasn't been.
Hasn't been.
It hasn't been. I don't think it has ever been.
Dwayne Haskins.
No.
He doesn't count.
Cardell Jones was the backup for 2 years.
Or RP.
JT Barrett.
Dwayne
Pryor.
Haskins. That was he
He
could have been.
Yeah. Dwayne could have been something, but
He could have been.
unfortunately.
Trying to think of there's no other Ohio State.
Yeah, and Justin, and now this year it'll be C.J. Stroud, who, I mean, that's a conversation for another day, but
That's when we get towards
more
Draft time.
draft season. But
Draft time.
Building on the offensive line, I keep seeing quotes from just analysts and experts. It's for you people out there who are so negative on Justin Fields. I don't quite know how you can be yet. I know he hasn't looked amazing. Don't get me wrong. This organization is doing absolutely nothing to help him out, whether it's protecting him or giving him guys to throw the ball to. I was talking to Sam Freddo. He was like, oh, Justin's got it. You heard him too. He's like, he's got to see those guys downfield. It's like when the pocket collapses, his instinct is to get out of
Run.
it. And his guys, other than Darnell Mooney, who just kind of showed up for the first time this past week, the receivers that they've given Justin do not do a good job of creating separation.
No,
So
not at all.
When in doubt, bail. And he has great runner instincts, and he has the ability to extend plays, get first downs, and all that good stuff. So in a way, it's kind of a blessing we have Justin for that, right?
To be honest, because if it was anybody else non-mobile,
Right.
they would get embarrassed. They would be hurt.
Yeah. So it's actually kind of a good thing behind this line that we do have a somewhat mobile quarterback that's able to gain more positive.
That's what I loved when we first drafted Justin Fields. I was
Finding
like,
somebody can run.
This dude can run. This dude has the instinct to be able to do it. He will take the hits. He's a bigger type quarterback, right? He's got the body for it. He can take those hits, and he's got that instinct and that sort of competitive nature to do that. It's not like he's only running the ball or anything like that, right? It's like, no, he wants to sit there in the pocket and throw the ball down the field. He has a strong arm. He can throw it 60 yards, 70 yards, right? He can do that. He can be one of those guys like a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, throwing the ball deep, right? And just hucking it up downfield and letting one of our receivers run under it. We saw it literally last weekend with a 50-something yard bomb to Darnell Mooney. But when you don't help the guy,
Yeah.
He's got the makeup for it. I think he has the physical traits. He's got the moxie. He's got the swagger. He's got all that good stuff. And it's you just see it. You know, when you see something, you feel, oh, he can be something different. And I think, too, people need to give him more time. It's like all the good quarterbacks, they're given at least 3 years. Look at Jalen Hurts. He's finally starting to turn around. He's having a great
What's
start
this,
to the
year
season.
3 for him, right?
Yeah, this is year 3.
Year
Exactly.
three for for Josh Allen was
year
really
for-
great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the first 2 years for both those guys, kind of not so great. So it's all about situation and stuff too. But at the same time, it's like you just got to give them time. This is a big important position just in the world of sports. It's a major transition.
Especially because if you're gonna get people that's gonna try to compare him to Lamar Jackson, which there's no comparison here. Lamar is a freak of nature.
He's on an island of his own.
MVP, baby. MVP.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, Lamar's on the island by himself. I totally agree with you on that one for sure. Like Justin, it depends on what the Bears. We all have to see as fans and as analysts that this year for the Bears should just be a building block going into the offseason, hoping they can spend some real money on some real athletes.
You talk about having money. You talk about also this should be the year where you go, okay, we're going to be very strict here. Either this guy stays or this guy goes.
It's a lot of make or break years.
It's a lot of make or break years for certain guys. On that Ohio State quarterback list, the only person to have a winning record was Mike Tomczak all the way back in 1985. He finished his career with 42-31, 16,000 yards, 106 interceptions to 88 touchdowns.
Did you say 1942?
No, 1985.
Oh, I'm about to say.
Very long time ago. But
That's above.
I guess
way
you can
before
also
me.
look at Troy Smith, who was 4-4 in 2007.
that dude's a dog in college.
Yes, he was.
So good.
8 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. But yeah, there hasn't really been a quarterback from Ohio State that's been successful.
And
in
if
the
you look
NFL.
at last year with Matt Nagy and all those clowns that were running that show, like, dude, it's like
He's the
I gotta
biggest.
say last year doesn't really even count in my eyes. Like
No,
it
that was
does,
a waste.
it does, but it doesn't, because other than that one Pittsburgh game, he was just getting killed every drive. You know, in the opening game against Cleveland, his first ever start, he got
that
sacked
was
9 times.
embarrassing.
Like, I don't know how you can sit there as a football analyst, a football fan, and be like, oh yeah, his first season. I mean, obviously it counts statistically. I'm not saying it doesn't count.
It
but,
doesn't-
like,
yeah.
toward his development and toward like his progress, it
mentally
they
just put him down.
Yeah, exactly. It killed his confidence, killed his self-esteem. So in a way, it almost doesn't count. Like, this kind of feels like this is the first real season.
Because
I
this
mean,
is
he
year
also-
two with a new playbook. Like,
Yeah,
a
and
new
he's got a
playbook,
whole new
offense.
system, whole new regime. So a lot's being thrown at this guy right now.
Right.
Yeah, you also look at the fact that everybody in Chicago said the moment before, even before Justin Fields got drafted that year, it should have been the last year of that regime, and he should have came in with a brand new sort of regime, brand new coaching staff and everything, and then have that sort of relationship of quarterback and coach kind of grow that way.
Yeah.
Of being, a young coach maybe, or just a brand new head coach with a brand new quarterback, a brand new system, and everything just kind of grow naturally. Now you get thrown in, and you don't want to be like how Daniel Jones has been, where he's had 4 quarterbacks, 4 coaches, and 4 offensive coordinators, and how many in the last 4 years he's been in the NFL? He's had a new coach and new coordinator every single year. And now he's kind of found one with Brian Dable, who I wanted the
awesome.
I wanted the
Dable's
Bears
so
to sign.
awesome. I wanted him very badly.
I wanted the Bears to sign him so badly. Yeah. But you still look at that and you're like, okay, just let's get some time. Give it some time. As much as you want to be mad at people, you can be mad at certain players, but you can't be mad at, Justin Fields,
Right.
the way he's developed.
There are no expectations this year. So I don't know how you can be, how did we lose that game? It's like, we're talking about that. Obviously, we're mad we lost because it's the Giants, but there's going to be a lot of games this year where there are teams that have a significant amount more skill on the field than us. So at that point, you're nitpicking. You're looking, all right, how's Justin doing? How's the line holding up? How are X, Y, and Z young guys? It's more, you look at it more in an individual scope, and I don't mind that. But yeah, people just need to be more patient. It's tough. And you mentioned too with Nagy and Pace. A lot of people were saying that trade in the draft night was like a last ditch effort to save their jobs.
Yep.
Whereas
It
I feel like
was.
their jobs were already kind of gone though, in my opinion.
The world knew.
Yeah,
They
it's
didn't-
like-
they didn't know, quote,
If they
unquote.
didn't do that, their jobs would have been gone.
They
over
still
the
ended up
summer.
getting fired.
And they ended up getting fired after a year, but
Yeah.
it saved them one more year for that draft
It
choice.
bought them one more year of time. I think everyone was thinking Nagy was still going to go, but everyone was thinking it bought Pace more time. I think that was
Yeah.
the problem that everyone has. Like, Ryan Pace just bought himself a couple more
Yes.
years. But one thing I will say he was good at though, drafting late round talent. He left us a nice gift.
Yeah,
in Khalil Herbert.
he was
Yes.
good at that.
So.
Before we move on, I just want everybody that's going to watch this and both of you to know The Bears are going to do something they always done. They hired a defensive-minded coach. The last person they did that was with Lovie Smith.
Yep.
And you know what's going to happen here. They're going to sign a bunch of big-name defensive free agents and forget about the offense. It's just going to be a trickle-down effect. The Bears are known for defense, so with this money, they're going to spend it on defense. Just watch.
Outside of my fear of them taking a quarterback in the first round, which I really hope doesn't happen, I have a big fear they're going to take like a defensive lineman with the top 10 pick that they're going to have. And I'm going to like cry on the inside because it's like there's amazing wide receiver talent in this draft. Once again, we're not going to get into the draft too much, but like I just have a really bad feeling we're not going to go get a skill player.
I have the same sort of feeling for that. I do think, I hope, because the way that the Lovie Smith sort of regime was like, okay, all defense, all defense, all defense. And at the end of his regime is when you got
The
guys
offense.
like Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall you brought in. You drafted Alshon Jeffrey,
Matt
right?
Forte.
Matt Forte. So you kind of started going a little bit for offensive guys, but you can't wait that long.
Nope.
You can't wait that long. You have to sort of develop it at the same time.
And we're not asking for the Kansas City Chiefs offense.
No,
we're
no,
not,
no,
we're
no,
not
no,
asking
no,
for 40 points a game.
No,
but
no.
I want to win games. I
We
don't care how much you
want to
score.
win games, but we'd also like to score a touchdown every once in a while here too. It's one of those things. So we're not asking for the world. We're just asking for a couple weapons for our young
We
quarterback.
don't want to see the kicker that just got signed kick how many field goals in that game.
Right, he was the only bit of offense this year. The dude got signed to the team on Saturday. It's just frustrating.
It is frustrating. Let's move on to our picks for next week before we move on to some other stuff going on around at least the world of sports. Thursday night game is Indy at Denver. But before this starts, I know that me and Myra, we talked a little bit about our picks, us being tied and stuff like that. Our guests are beating us a little bit, Myron. As of right now, going into this week, they were 16-18. We were 15-7. So
We need to do better, Jake.
Pressure's on.
Need to do better.
Pressure's a little bit on here. Andy, don't take the lead over anymore.
Yeah, I won't let those guys down.
Still
I
waiting to
promise.
see if someone can beat us in a week, even though Myron did get beat.
We gonna see.
We'll see. Indy and Denver. I'll start us off. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts with this one, just because Russell Wilson, again, we talked about it last week, is the most cringiest player in the NFL. He's head coach, doesn't know how to call plays late in the game. And Indianapolis has a veteran in Matt Ryan who's kind of starting to figure it out a little bit up there in Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor, was a little overshadowed, kind of not really being Jonathan Taylor like he was last year. But this defense getting Shaq Leonard back is going to be a big difference, and Indy's going to take this game.
I'm taking the Colts as well. I've been a Colts truther. It's one of my takes that I've had on Strictly Sports is that they were going to win the division and like blow everyone away. And that clearly, hasn't looked good so far, but I'm still on them. And also, you're going to notice some of these guys I talk about. I'm a very fantasy football based mind.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
So, and I just found out Javonte Williams tore his ACL done for the season. So it's a huge part of the Broncos offense because their rushing attack now consists of Melvin Gordon, who fumbles like twice a game, and Mike Boone, Who was that
late in the game last week? Who was that the running back that dropped the pass? That was the fourth down. I believe it was a running back.
It's probably Mike Boone.
I think it was Boone. Yeah,
Boone. So, and for a lot of you out there, probably don't know who Mike Boone is.
I don't.
That kind of sums up their rushing attack. So, Colts. I'm taking the Colts on the road.
Look, based off last week, I'm not picking the Broncos again, so I'm going Colts too.
You picked the Denver Broncos in that game against Vegas.
I don't blame you. I had them too.
I thought Broncos were going. I thought Russ was going to be Russ, but Russ has been rusty.
Dude, Russ cooking is setting the kitchen on fire, man. He can't cook. All right.
Somebody living rent free in his head. That's all it is. If you catch it, you catch it.
Giants at Green Bay. This should be a no-brainer. I'm going Green Bay with this one.
This is it's another London game. So for you football fans out there, 8:30 in the morning. On
Did
Sunday.
you guys wake up in time for
No.
the?
No. I woke
I
up
had
to
Alvin Kamara starting.
Yeah, I woke up to a text from my buddy in our fantasy league. It's like, all right, where does Alvin Kamara live? Because we all ever see most normal kids, college kids, woke up not at 8:30 in the
Not
morning
at
on
all.
Sunday.
I don't know.
So he's
No.
like, why is Alvin Kamara not playing today? Yeah, no.
Or
So
Michael Thomas.
that
People had
stinks,
Michael
but-
Thomas too.
Yeah, I think coming into week 4, if you told me that this was going to be a battle of 2 3-1 teams, I'd be a little preposterous about it. Yeah, it's Green Bay. I still don't, even though the Giants had 3-1, they're the worst 3-1 team I've probably ever.
They got lucky. This is like the Giants are like the Bears a couple years ago when we started 5-0.
Yeah.
I'm going Packers.
Yeah, very easy. Next game, don't really got to talk about it, but we'll talk a little bit about it, a little bit more. Bears, Minnesota. I think we're all going Bears here.
I'm taking Bears, yeah.
Bears.
You got to take the Bears.
We got to take the Bears here.
Swallow your pride. Take the Bears.
But how would I mean? First off, we got to stop Justin Jefferson.
Good luck. Who's covering him? If Jalen Johnson's not playing,
I was gonna say if Jalen Johnson,
it's
is
Kyler
not
Gordon
playing,
on Justin Jefferson. So
He gonna make Kyler Gordon touch the ground.
Yeah, good luck. No, I think for Bears fans, we all better pray that Jalen Johnson is healthy to play this week. I mean, we're not winning. Realistically, we're not going to win this game, no matter what happens. But in order to not get totally embarrassed, we need Jalen Johnson.
I don't even think we're gonna win never mind.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh at Buffalo. It's Kenny Pickett time, by the way, boys. He
Buffalo.
was 13 for 13. Just 3 of them went to the other team.
Yeah, it didn't look too hot in his
Did
debut.
you say he was what?
He was 13 for 13, but 3 went the other way.
So he was 10 of 13, but those 3 incompletions
Were picks.
Were picks. Yeah.
His
What a
first
guy.
pass, though, of the game did tip off a receiver's hands and went straight back into a Jets defender. So,
He did have 2 very similar rushing touchdowns, though.
yes.
He had good energy. It was cool.
It was good energy. I think that's needed. I feel really bad for Mitch. Not
Yeah,
gonna
it
lie.
stinks. It stinks. I knew he was going to get yanked. I just didn't think it was going to be this early, man.
That's what I kind of feel bad for.
I said this.
did
Dan
call
said this too. We said that he was going to get yanked sooner than later because he's just not a good quarterback. He should have been never drafted 3, or was it 2?
2, yeah.
He
2.
should have never been drafted 2 ever.
I mean, it's Bills. Bills are favored heavy in this one. I feel really bad for Kenny Pickett if he is named the starter. Going to Buffalo for your first true start in the NFL, that's a really rowdy environment to go play in. And the Bills look freaking amazing right now. So
Yeah,
Buffalo, not even close.
Take out that fourth quarter of the Miami game. This team should be undefeated. And I mean, you even talk about the comeback against Baltimore last week. Like, this team's kind of figured it out, even with all those DBs out and corners are out, and not having Micah Hyde for the rest of the season, and Joey Poyer being on and off, being injured. Von Miller's just presence, I feel like, in that defensive line is just a different animal.
He's aging like fine wine, man. He keeps
Yes.
getting older. His game keeps
better.
ever since. And once he left Denver, everyone's like, all right, he's kind of just like he's a flash of his. He's a little bit of not really much of his old self. He's gotten better since he left Denver, despite all those injuries. As LeBron says, aging like fine wine is his game so far.
Chargers at Cleveland.
Chargers.
This is a tough one.
I don't think so.
Gotta
You're-
go Chargers.
It's Chargers. Cleveland is one of the weirdest 2-2 teams. They lost to the Jets, and then they lost last week to the Falcons. But then they have 2 like pretty impressive wins.
Yes.
So it's
That's what I'm
like
saying.
I don't know. They irritate me. The Chargers, their defense is banged up. They're
Hurting.
down Bosa. They're missing guys. But
Khalil Mack has been bad.
yeah, he hasn't. When he doesn't have a guy beside him, he's not playing well. But this offense is incredible. Austin Eckler looked great last week. And
He's back.
He scored
I
3
guess he's
touchdowns, found the end zone a lot. So yeah, I'm taking the Chargers.
I think you just convinced me. I'm taking Chargers. They were my Super Bowl pick, by the way, to win this year, which looked great. And then all the injuries happened. And
What was your Super
so
Bowl?
I think it was Temp. Wasn't it Temp? No. Did I go Baltimore? Or did I go
no,
Bills?
you
I didn't
went.
pick. I had Bills over Bucks.
didn't
as
go
well.
to
you,
Buck.
you went Bills.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so didn't go
I went
Bills.
Bills too. That's smart.
You went Bills. I went with Chargers.
Over the Bucks though, which doesn't look so smart.
It doesn't look so smart.
They don't look.
Yeah, I would take the Chargers with all that. Detroit at New England. Give me the Lions.
Yeah, I'll take.
No kizzy.
I'll take the Lions too.
Give me the Lions.
the Lions.
First off, again, I'll say this again. I mean, I know last week they were favored and they lost.
You know they're the highest scoring offense in the entire NFL.
Yes.
They've scored more points than anyone. And they're
Their
1-3.
offense is so good. I know their defense is really bad right now, giving up a lot of points, but give me Detroit in this because I don't know if Mac Jones is going to be able to play.
He's out.
Brian Hoyer is going to be out probably with
He's
a
out
head
again.
injury.
It's Bailey Zappi.
Yeah. Give
Who
me
looked so. I don't know if you watched any of that game.
I did.
He looked so scared.
His
his,
did
one,
not wanna play.
his one touchdown pass that he threw, it was like a lollipop. It had like no zip on it at all. I mean, it was perfect. It was perfectly placed. He was just so nervous, and I don't blame him. Like making your first like NFL appearance at Lambeau Field. But I was watching like this kid looks so uncomfortable.
he was on the bench and Bill Belichick was like talking to him and you just saw in his eyes he was like, I'm not ready for this. I thought this was going to be all Brian Hoyer.
It was going a million miles an hour.
Everything
He
was
did not
going too
prep.
fast.
He didn't prep.
No,
No, he didn't. But yeah, I'm going Detroit. I think if it's Bailey Zappi, I mean, he's not going to be ready. I feel like it's just going to be a very difficult game, and I think Dan Campbell, he's going to get the boys ready. All right?
He needs to fire something up that defense.
That offense has been
The offense is fine. It's your defense.
They just scored 45 points on Sunday and lost.
Yeah,
as a Bears fan, I would kill to see my team score 45 points. Crazy.
Your offense scored 45 points. You should never lose.
No, never.
You should never lose.
Never.
Who are you going with, Myron?
I was going with the Lions.
You're going with the Lions too? All right.
Lions
finally back on this Lions train.
I think this next game will have some different picks.
Seattle and New Orleans. Myron, I'll let you start with this one. First off, your boy wasn't in the game in London. Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, he decided to play.
Didn't play terrible.
He didn't play. Yeah, he didn't play
terrible.
He played for the Bears.
He didn't play terrible. He had an okay game. All things considered, I don't think he played that bad.
No, and I was also very surprised on how Kirk Cousins in a quote-unquote primetime game of London game actually played very good.
See, I gave it reverse psychology because it's so early here that nobody was up to watch it. That was kind of how I was thinking.
Needed you on the pod. I needed you when I made my pick last week because the only reason why I went with the Saints was I was like, this is Kirk Cousins primetime.
Yes, it's primetime. There's no other NFL games, but in America, unless you're a Vikings or a Saints fan, I really don't know who would have been awake to watch that whole thing. I wasn't. I didn't watch a snap. Also, it was on NFL Network, which I don't get NFL Network
I woke
anymore.
up at like 11 and was like, oh.
There's a football game.
The game's over.
Yeah.
I woke up at I did wake up early. I had work though. And at work, I was sitting there, I was coaching, and I was sitting there on my phone, like scrolling through on ESPN or on fantasy football for ESPN fantasy football, and I was like, all right, I need to start my guys. And I looked, and like Justin Jefferson had 20-something points, and I was like,
what happened?
What is happening right now?
Yeah.
Like, is this a glitch or something? And then
You forgot that it was.
they forgot that there was a London game happened, and when I turned it on, they were already shaking hands and everything. And by the time I turned it on, from the next break I turned it on, I'm like, oh, the game's already over.
Did you see how it ended? Double doink.
Double doink is no longer Cody Parkey.
Nah, it'll always be.
It's
always Cody Parkey.
But anyways, back to this game. I'll let you start it off, Myron. Saints, Seattle. You have Jameis Winston. I think he's going to be back, and then as well as now I'm blanking on Seattle's. Geno Smith. Geno Smith, Jameis Winston.
I'm going with the Seahawks.
You going with Seahawks?
I'm going with the 12th man here.
I'm taking Seattle too. They're the underdog in this game, but I am a Jameis, not a Jameis fan, but I have him stuck in my super flex. Once again, fantasy football based guy, so I need him to play well if he plays. But this Seattle offense has been like kind of like sneaky, weirdly good.
It's like Detroit, man.
Yeah, and the Saints have. I mean, I didn't expect the Saints to do much this year, but other than Chris Olave and Michael Thomas when he plays, there isn't really a bright spot on this team. So I'll take Seattle on the road.
I'm also going Seattle.
Oh man, I was really thinking. I think it's
I was gonna go with the Saints. Crazy.
No,
as of right now, the records aren't shifting. So
yeah,
I'm helping the guests out. We're in the clear.
Yeah, we have these same picks for every single game. So
I don't know.
This one may be different. Miami at the New York Jets. You have Teddy Bridgewater starting for Miami, and you have Zach Wilson back in the helm of the New York Jets, who just got a big win. I'm going with the Jets. I feel like they're going to get this victory here against Miami because I believe Tua is not going to play.
He's not. No, they named Teddy Bridgewater.
So they named Teddy Bridgewater the starter.
Yeah.
Did you just say I don't think he gonna? My man's was. No.
Looking at his hands. That was so scary.
Have been able,
that was so scary.
Oh, did you see?
Cleared him?
They got fined and fired.
All of them. The whole ogre. I'm gonna stare right into this camera right now. I know they both looking at me. I'm gonna stare right into this one. The whole organization need to be fired. That should never happen.
He was definitely playing with a concussion on Thursday.
No, they said that they missed. They did several mistakes when they sent him back into the game against Buffalo.
No kidding. Yeah.
And that means
I could have told you that. I'm not a doctor.
He had a concussion, and that means that he ended up practicing all week with a concussion and playing the next day.
Did you see the video from Sunday against the Bills? He was like, he was stumbling off the field. It's like
obvious number one.
Yeah. So you're going Jets?
I'm going Jets because I don't trust Teddy Bridgewater.
I am going to trust Teddy Bridgewater. I'm taking the Dolphins. I just think that defense ain't too bad, man. They're pretty solid. So
I agree with you. I'm going to go Dolphins here. He has too much firepower.
Yeah, it's
offensively.
Yeah,
I don't know. The Jets are weird.
And Jalen Waddle.
I don't know what to feel about the Jets. They're weird. I don't know.
They are weird. I just don't believe that
How about this? It wouldn't shock me if the Jets won this game, but I'm going to pick the Dolphins.
Yeah, I just don't believe Teddy. Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Champa Bay. I would still call him Champa Bay, just because of the hockey team of Tampa Bay Lightning, and they win all the time, and Tampa Bay also won. But anyways, you're going Tampa Bay, Myron?
Yep.
I'm going Tampa as well. Battle of 2-2 teams, which is also kind of weird to read, but Marcus Mariota is not it, and Bucs defense is really, really good still. Even though they gave up 41 points to Patrick Mahomes, I'm Buccaneers.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta go Tampa Bay. I feel bad. I'm the only one. I hope the Jets win. At this point right now, I hope the Jets win. Tennessee at Washington. I think we all have the same pick here again.
Do we?
Are you going?
Are you sure?
No, I'm taking Tennessee.
I'm taking Tennessee.
Washington looks terrible.
They look so bad. Their defense looks so bad.
Give me
their offense.
the Titans.
Their offense is Carson Wentz just isn't it. I mean,
Carson Wentz is.
They have good receivers too. Like they need a quarterback, and they'll be so much better.
What team?
Washington.
Washington's got receivers.
I said, yeah, they have Terry McLaurin.
Jahan Dotson's pretty solid.
Yeah, I said that all they need is a quarterback.
Yeah.
That's all they need, and that offense would be so much better.
Is Fitzmagic still in the league?
No, he's doing Thursday night.
They need to call him because they need some
He's
milk.
one of the 8 people that they have on that Thursday night desk.
Yeah, which is
Need to
by
call
the way,
him.
great desk. If you haven't seen it, great desk. Houston, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, yeah.
Jacksonville.
I'm sorry,
Houston's the
Lovey.
only team in the NFL that'll win.
Lovey, get your win, my dude.
I
Please.
the only time I picked against the Bears was I picked Houston because I wanted Lovie Smith to get a win.
I would love to see Lovey still
I
get a
did
win.
say that.
You picked against the Bears with the Texans game. I feel like that was the one game you.
No, I didn't actually. No, I didn't. I said I did want to see though. Lovey to get a win
Yeah.
against the Bears, but still, I need Lovey to get a win. All right, I need Lovey to get a win. Just in my heart, as a Bears fan, I love Lovey. I wish we never let him go,
I
but
do
it's
too.
kind of we needed to at the same time because we needed to move on stuff. Niners, Panthers. Give me the Niners.
Going Niners as well.
I don't want a beer belly, so I'm going Niners too.
Dallas or the Rams.
Rams, I feel like I'm taking the Rams. I know the Cowboys have been great with Cooper Rush, but I mean, come on, LA's just they got the star power, and I always lean that way. So Rams.
Rams.
I want to be different, man. I want to be different.
It's hard to be different with the schedule this week. We go into this kind of blind, or at least I do when I pick games. So
I do too.
you don't really know until you're going through it. And as I'm starting to look through these, like, oh, we're gonna have basically every one of the picks are the same, except maybe Sunday night.
Maybe Sunday night.
No, Sunday night we're definitely gonna have a different picture.
You
I
know
think.
what? Give me Dallas Cooper Rush.
You're gonna lose that.
I'm gonna lose. Philly, Arizona.
Philly,
Philly.
Philly,
Cincy, Baltimore.
Cincy,
Baltimore,
Bengals truther, and I always will be. So I'm sticking with Joe Burrow.
Lamar Jackson all the way.
Give me Baltimore.
Being different. I like being different. This is good.
Vegas, Kansas City.
And the Chiefs are gonna blow them out. It's at home too. It's at Arrowhead. I don't think that's
Yeah,
gonna be remotely close.
Give me Kansas City. Give me Kansas City all day, every day.
Kansas City, Myron.
The Chiefs.
Yeah, there you go.
That was it for our picks, at least for this week. Hopefully we have a better one. Hopefully we have a better week. Myron, you especially. We need to step it up against. We need to step it up against guests. This week's going to be a lot different, but something that we haven't talked about a lot, and something that we'll talk about definitely next week on the podcast as well. Baseball, MLB. It is playoff time practically much. There's 3 games left in the season for a lot of teams, 2 for certain ones. It really just depends on how your schedule kind of laid out and kind of fell. But there is going to be some interesting sort of shakeups and everything with this sort of last couple of weeks here for MLB. First off, Phillies and Braves are yet to clinch a playoff spot. They're the last 2 teams that can clinch a playoff spot. The Phillies are going to be one of those teams that
It doesn't matter really who gets that 6th spot between them and Milwaukee. St. Louis is playing a really good brand of baseball right now, at least in my eyes.
yeah, they will end up facing off against St. Louis. As of right now, it kind of goes with Houston at being the 1 seed for the AL, the Dodgers being the 1 seed for the NL, Braves 2, Yankees 2 for both of those sides, and they kind of just goes in a wild card in a bunch of games. Are you going with Phillies or Braves to make that last wild card spot? Because the Phillies right now are 2 games up.
Yeah, Brewers.
But
I'm going Phillies.
You're going Brewers. Are you going Brewers because of their kind of matchup?
Asking me, did you mean Brewers?
Oh yeah, Brewers. Yeah.
I mean, realistically, because we looked at who they're playing, Milwaukee, they're playing Arizona, and in this series, and Philly's playing Houston.
First of all, for Philadelphia, that sucks. I don't know how they drew Houston as their last series of the season on the road. That sucks. But then again, Houston's got that 1 seed locked up. They've won 104 games. They really don't have anything to play for. So I don't know how they're going to go about that. Realistically, the Brewers are probably the smart pick, but I don't like the Brewers at all. I hate Milwaukee. So I'm going to take Philadelphia. I mean, like I said, though, it doesn't really matter. St. Louis is going to mop the floor with whoever they get. You know?
True.
So, but that's how I'll do it. And then I think the Braves are going to end up clinching that NL East.
I think the Braves are going to clinch that NL East as well. Myron,
Philly.
you got Philly. I got Philly as well.
I want it to be Philly.
So we'll go off the playoffs as of right now, how they're standing, because that's pretty much how it's going to be, how we picked it. Myron had the Braves as well, winning the division. I did as well. First off, Myron, you had the Red Sox winning the AL East. Didn't happen. We had me and you both had the White Sox.
That
didn't happen. You had the Angels in the playoffs. That didn't
That was a
happen.
joke.
I had the Red Sox at least in the wild card. That didn't happen. Your wild card in the NL. Wow. Giants, Nationals, Cubs.
What a joke.
Nationals and Cubs are 2 of the worst teams in baseball.
Hey, the Cubs have had a great second
Okay.
half. They've had a fantastic.
Nationals are the worst team in baseball.
Nationals are terrible. Cubs are also not good. We're the Cubs fan. Not a good organization right now. Not a good team. But second half,
Right
they're
now.
on like a 7-8 game winning streak right now. They're playing really good ball. But yeah, obviously,
They're not playing for anything.
No.
They're just playing for
Giants. I
fun.
can see the logic behind the Giants. It was up there for sure.
We missed on all AL and NL awards. My picks for the World Series was Dodgers and Blue Jays, at least for me and myself. You had White Sox, Braves. One of those teams can make it. Not the White Sox anymore. My teams could eventually still make it, but I don't know if they are. But Andy, with this playoff format the way it is right now, let's say it ends today, which potentially this also could be it. Who do you have going to the World Series? Who do you have winning the World Series? All that.
You're gonna think I'm like the lamest person.
Are you going to go Astros, Dodgers?
I'm going Astros Braves. I'm doing a rematch of last season.
Okay.
I know it's super lame, but the Braves are, in my opinion, the best team out of the NL. And when you look at the American League, it's Houston. Obviously, 104 wins so far this season. They've looked incredible. But everyone's on this Yankee hype train, right? Well, there's a stat that's out there in the regular season when the Yankees have played the Astros. Yankee hitters are batting 151 against Astro pitching. So if you see that in the ALCS, how does that match up, right? Is that the best threat the Astros have? Is it the Yankees? It's not the Guardians. So let's just go down the list. Guardians, no. Tampa, no. Toronto, maybe. I'll give your team some credit. Maybe. It depends on how the pitching shapes. I mean, yes. October, we've learned it can really be anything. I didn't have the Braves getting out of the first round realistically last year when they played Milwaukee.
Yep.
As much as I hated to say it, Milwaukee had great pitching, but it's whoever gets hot at the right moment. So I think the Braves are getting hot at the perfect time. Definitely winning the NL, and then I think just by process of elimination, I have to pick Houston again. So that's my matchup. It's not fun, but it's either that or
Who do you
the
have?
Dodgers, which is even more lame.
Who do you have winning?
I'll say the Braves repeat.
Let's go.
So it's once again, sorry it's lame, but I'm looking at it from just a number standpoint. I just don't see. Yeah, it's a sick hat. I just don't see how it could shape out otherwise, but it probably will because that's how it works. Give me the break.
Yeah, I want, if I look at this now, if I made my prediction now, still want the Blue Jays to go just as a fan favorite. It's a little biased, but if I'm looking at it from an analytical standpoint, analytical-wise, and then baseball magic-wise.
Yeah, the magic. You got to incorporate.
Baseball magic-wise says the Seattle Mariners are going to the World Series.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be so great.
Analytic-wise, it's the Houston Astros because they're the best team in baseball for American League. If I'm looking at it from the opposite side, the NL side, there's no magic. Well, there's one magic.
What?
It's the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm gonna say there's no magic there.
There's one magic. It's St. Louis Cardinals, but the Dodgers are literally the best team in baseball for a reason.
Yep.
This happens often with them, though.
I would have to be that basic person and go Dodgers Astros just because of the way the analytical wise. If I wanted to say I want to have the best 7-game series, I want to have the best World Series matchup with implications, give me Cardinals and Mariners as the storylines.
So much fun.
Man,
It'd be the greatest.
that'd be crazy.
If we're pulling for fun, I mean, if you're not picking the Mariners, I know you're a Blue Jay fan, but just for fun,
Yeah.
the Mariners are your American League team. I can't pick the Cardinals because I'm a Cubs fan in the National League, so maybe like Mariners Padres would be kind of just wild and weird. I don't know, but
It would have to, I feel like it would have to be the Phillies because of they would have to go on a magical run.
Does the Padres get Tatis back?
no, he's suspended.
He's still?
He's suspended even into the next season.
That's possibly for a performance enhancing. They're not going to beat the Mets in that 3-game set. I mean, DeGrom and Scherzer.
Mets are gonna Mets when they face the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think the Mets will get through San Diego, but if St. Louis does get out of that spot, they get the Braves, so then it's Mets Dodgers. If you're the Mets, that's not the team you want to see in the DS. That's a tough look. So
That is a tough look.
it'll go as far as their pitching will take them.
Myron, if you had to redo your picks right now for a World Series matchup, who do you have?
Cardinals. They're playing a great brand of baseball, without a doubt. And Yankees. I think the Yankees, even though the stat line says the Yankees are going to struggle versus Houston, but I think if the Yankees continue to play like they've been playing, they're going to beat Houston. I'm not saying Houston isn't a good team, but
it's honestly anyone's pick, so you can be like, all right, yeah, cool. Like, it makes sense. It's playoff baseball. It's so unpredictable. While even though there's the numbers, the standings, the seeds, it is predictable, but also very unpredictable. So, yeah, that's a realistic thing that could totally happen. I wouldn't doubt it for a second if it was Cardinals Yankees.
I do have a question for both of you about playoff baseball coming up. Not favorite team, so non-favorite team, but your favorite playoff moment that is non-favorite team.
wait, repeat the question one more time.
A favorite playoff moment you've had that was not generated from your team.
Yeah, it can't be from your team. That moment cannot be from the White Sox, the Cubs, or my Blue Jays. But your favorite playoff moment.
I can say mine then. You said not from the White Sox. I'm going to go with the Cubs winning.
Okay, so you can go with the Cubs winning.
I got two. One, the David Freese stuff back in 2011 was awesome, but as a Cubs fan, that hurts. Okay. Or the Batista homer against the Rangers way back when, the Blue Jays.
So for me, I would have to go with, I would have to go with the Cubs. Like, just seeing it, right? I feel like is a great playoff moment. The David Freese stuff is electric.
As much as I hate to say it as a Cubs fan, man, you can't help it. Like, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
For a baseball fan, it was awesome.
It was awesome, sort of, to see. But I think my favorite playoff moment would have to be Brett Phillips' walk-off.
That was sick. Didn't watch it, but I didn't watch it live. I was driving.
I watched it live.
I thought the game was over. My buddy called me. He's like, "You're not gonna believe what just happened."
Yeah,
so I pulled over to the side of the road, and I was like, "Oh my god."
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to go with the Brett Phillips home run as being my favorite playoff moment. That's not my favorite team.
You know the story behind the David Freese homer, or the triple in the 9th, and that led to the homer in the 11th? Do you know that story or no? Bruce was playing in.
Oh, I didn't realize. No, not that one.
So he was playing in because they thought it was 2 outs in the 9th and they were winning. So he's like, I want to be closer to the celebration. I want to be closer. I want to be a guy who gets to the dog pile first. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's why he was playing so far in. He wanted to be one of the first people to get in, and it ended up costing the Rangers. I don't know if he would have made the play if he was further back. 'Cause that ball's hit very well, but it always makes you think, what if, right? Because the Rangers never won a championship.
That's true. That is the biggest. That was a really big what if, at least for the Rangers there. Anything else for today, boys?
Thank you for having me on. It was a good time.
It was a great time.
It was a great time. Andy, I mean, you're going to be back on anyways at some point. At some point, you're going to be back on anyways. Hopefully, you'll be around basketball time a little bit with the Bulls and everything.
Give me some Bulls. I love it.
Bulls.
Bulls. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really kind of go on for at least baseball stuff. We kind of talked about at least the major storylines going on right now. Not really talking much about the NFL, really much more. So Myron, do the honors.
You know what time it is? And that's a wrap.